Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up, bro?
What is up, my dog? It's another Friday.
Yeah, I'm all good, man. All good. Almost slept just before the show started, but it's all good. All good.
Now you're good. What is it? It's like what, like eight, 9 for you right now?
Yeah, it's like 10 past 8.
Fine, bro. I respect it, bro. Also,
Anyways, how you doing?
no, I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm chilling right now. I was lucky because like I have like a internship thing, but it's for like a school. So like next week is spring break. So,
Mm,
but yeah, because I was thinking, right. Um, so this week, obviously, we're gonna do like the preview for the first leg, right?
yeah,
Next week, it would kind of be like a review of the matches that go on, and then kind of like seeing, depending on like whatever the aggregate score is, we could like
yeah,
whichever second leg is actually going to be close, and then the week Friday after, um, would probably have to we would need to update the power rankings because I think it's going to get very interesting.
mm. Yeah. Now I hear it. Like if PSG beats Liverpool, for example, they beat them at home. Yeah, or vice versa. Yeah,
Well, even just
worth.
besides, oh yeah, even just besides the Champions League, like some teams are already looking like they're about to slide down right now. AC Milan. Oh, but yeah. So yeah, talk to me, bro. Before we get started on the procedure, like, well, where we at with this season, just in general, whether it's Liverpool or any other things caught your eye.
Uh, okay, from a Liverpool perspective, I'll start with Liverpool perspective. Of course, enjoying the season, man. Like I've only seen this team win the league once. So seeing it for a second time without like a virus stopping proceedings. Without fans no longer being there, without matches being postponed, and a delay of us. Uh, Holding the trophy and parading around and stuff, even before it's like mathematically possible. We all know Liverpool's winning the league at this point, but I'm so glad that this will be the first time that there isn't these unnecessary and weird external delays. So it's been good. I'm glad
Because
I
I
get
think
to
I saw
experience this again.
because I think I saw a tweet. I don't remember where I pulled it up on, but it was like basically the earliest that Liverpool could win the league by.
Mm,
Because I think it said like if Arsenal lost all of their games from the earliest show, which obviously is probably not going to happen, but then the
yeah,
earliest win it would be April 3rd. And then, but like if basically if like if Arsenal lose and this 13-point lead holds with the games being even, then the
yeah.
earliest they could win it would be um the end of April, like the 26th, I think.
Mm,
Which obviously is still pretty impressive because you're still getting the job done before May
for
time.
sure.
And then obviously from there, I think it splinters to like the Chelsea game in May and then the Arsenal game in May as well. So it'll be
Mm,
interesting if they'll end up winning it with the Arsenal game ends up being the clincher.
yeah.
And I will say from a neutral perspective, it is a bit disappointing that that game coming so late could potentially just not even like end up meaning anything.
Matter.
So
Now I hear that from a neutral perspective. From a Liverpool perspective, bro, I don't care. I'm glad that it's happening, bro. In an ideal world, I wish there was a repeat. The only thing I wish there was a repeat of from 2020 is the timeline of when we all knew, okay, this is actually over. This is actually getting ridiculous. Because I remember from February when we were like 21 points ahead of City, and City had like a game in hand. We already knew Liverpool won this league. I wish we had already done this like a while ago. We'd already known like a while ago, but that's the nature of competitive sports that the lead won't be as big like most of the times, But we've had like a healthy lead right now. 13 points. Think they got a game in hand,
Hmm.
and there's 11 games for them. So I think it's wise enough to assume we're going to win the league. So I'm happy that things are going the way that they are, and I'm happy as a Liverpool fan. I'm happy as a supporter of individual players. Salah having a gold level campaign, Van Dijk with the second PL, Allison with the second PL, Trent with the second PL, all these dudes, like I'm happy for them from an individual perspective as well, because it's a boost for their legacy whenever there's like a debate of these guys were great players, but what did they win? Winning matters to an extent. So I'm happy for them as well, and like it's just cool to see. It's just cool to see.
And then,
And yeah,
oh, keep going. What were you gonna say?
yeah, and I guess from a non-Liverpool perspective, I guess I could be fair in analyzing that. In an ideal world, maybe the title race picture, maybe that like was an actual thing until the last month of the season, like it was last season and the season before and before that and the season before that. And I guess I could also say the relegation battle. I wish it wasn't over so early, because I don't know if it's fair in saying there's like three scrubs that are already destined to leave this league, which is Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester. But they may not be scrubs, but they are like way worse than everyone else that's not getting relegated from 17th. And the reason why, I guess we might speak on this a little bit, why maybe we shouldn't actually consider them scrubs, and this is from a neutral perspective, is the league's middle class
I was
is
literally about to get there.
pretty darn good. Yeah.
Like this. What I'm honestly very interested in right now is because I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
This third to 10th, like
Yeah.
over here, is which obviously my bum ass club is unfortunately a part of this vortex.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see who ends up, getting those Champions League spots outside of you and Arsenal. Uh,
Mm.
I do think that the Premier League is likely to get that fifth spot, so I'm essentially going to say three spots right now, even though I know technically it's only four on here.
Yeah.
Um, I think because I was looking at the fixtures for all of these clubs, and one of the interesting things is all of these clubs all have to play somewhere between 3 to 5 teams that are still currently in the top 10.
Mm.
In terms of who I think has like the hardest schedule left, I'd probably go with Chelsea because they have to play Nottingham, Arsenal, and Liverpool still, as well as
Well,
Newcastle. So they basically have to play four of the top six.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So and I think they still have to play Tottenham and United as well, even though obviously they've also been bums this year. City, I think, still have to play Nottingham, which I think they're playing them next week actually. And I want to say Bournemouth
Yeah.
and
I don't remember the second game with Bournemouth.
Brighton as well, actually.
Yeah.
And then, so obviously, it kind of intermixes with these other clubs as well. I think so far, from what I've seen, I I'm as not as high on. If I would just give a quick summation, I'm not as high on Nottingham as a lot of people are.
Mm.
I don't see them maintaining the top five spot. I feel like they're going to finish like sixth or seventh. City, I think, are going to comfortably finish that. I think they've been gaining momentum. I think a lot of the new signings have been betting. I've been really impressed with that.
Mm.
Who's the guy? The young defender that they got. I think he's looked really good outside of those
Same.
first 10 minutes of that Chelsea game. Like good on the ball, physical, extremely fast. I think there's going to be a real um, world class defender in there in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're.
Newcastle are very hot and cold. They can give you really good performances. They can give you really shit performances. So for them, the jury is really out, and they could literally, I could see them finish as high as fourth and as low as like eighth, given
Mm.
the range of like their performance levels. So it's kind of hard to gauge with them. Bournemouth, I think that for them, their kind of injury problem is going to start to take a toll on them a little bit more.
Mm.
Like I get that they're good out of possession side, they're good at pressing, but I feel like at the end of the day, and I know they have really good wing play, but at the end of the day, you need that kind of vocal point that they don't have. Also, I know you like their center backs, Chris. I don't like them as much either, but that's not really my main beef with them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Brighton, up until you can kind of see on the form table, up until this like little three,
Game winning streak.
yeah, like they were kind of out of it, and obviously they beat Chelsea 3-0, and they even beat Bournemouth 2-1, so they have some impressive wins in there as well. Um,
Mm.
but it's about for them. It's just about seeing if they can build momentum. And Fulham, I feel like they just kind of been there. Like I can't really remember anything that they've done well, but they haven't really done anything bad
Of
either.
notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think they're just like a high floor, low ceiling type. That's what I would probably put them at. And then
Mm.
Villa, I think for them, their main issue has been, one defensively. I think that they've fallen off a bit, but I think my main thing with them is that you can tell that they've been having a hard time trying to balance their Champions League bids with
Mm.
actually playing in the league. Because I think most of their L's throughout the season have come right after a Champions League night. So, and obviously
Yeah.
they're going to be playing Club Brugge, who they should be in the Champions League, but we'll get to that in a second. So, assuming that they do that and go far, then it will probably be hinder them a bit. So, I don't see them finishing as high.
Mm.
Um,
But can I just say two things?
yeah,
One is 100% agree with everything you're saying. The only thing I would add in terms of the teams you mentioned is Brighton. I think you're talking about Newcastle or Bournemouth, where it's like they've been very hot and cold. I think that's Brighton for me, where it's like, they can have a hot streak and then they can have a cold streak. I think they lost 7-0 to Forest, right? It was them,
they
right?
did do that, yes.
Yeah, and that was like one of the funny games that I saw and analyzed this season so far, where I'm like, amongst that mini league between Forest, Brighton, and I think the other team is like Bournemouth. They all kind of beat each other with like high scores, which is like kind of crazy.
Well,
And I
that's
just seen like, hmm?
no. I was gonna say it's funny that you say that about these guys because Villa's problem has been the opposite. They can beat
Hmm.
these, but it's the bottom half of it's the bottom half teams that have really been keeping them rooted to like the from the top four spots. It's kind of so it's funny that you say that.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. And then the only other thing I would say is I would also include Palace and Brentford, even though like Palace, this is like form that they're coming to. But I saw a stat which is just interesting. It's an arbitrary stat.
No, no,
To be fair,
I think I know the one you're talking about. That since
yeah,
eight,
with Oliver Glasner, like the first eight games of the season they'd lost, and then since then they're the fourth best team in form since match week 8. That's pretty. It's a pretty big thing. It's arbitrary, It's like selective, but it is interesting in terms of okay, what can we expect for the remainder of the season? Maybe,
well, I think
in
for
terms.
Alice, the thing that has been going for them as of late has been the recent form of Mateta. I think
Mm,
he, along with Salah, have been the top goal scorers of 2025 in the calendar year.
yeah,
And then Ismaili Sarr as well. Obviously, he got a brace against Villa, but I've kind of just seen him popping up with goals here and there. So I think the uptick in form of those two particularly has been uh, really impressive. I know Eze was kind of expected to make a leap this year after
mm,
Olise left, which he hasn't really been doing as much. But so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to improve his form as well. So
true. True. And then the other team is Brentford. I honestly believe they have the best ISO attackers. And if they can platform those guys better in terms of the rest of the team doing a better job in defending better and seeing out results better. I think Brentford potentially also has a high ceiling because these dudes in Boemo and Risa, like, yo, they have been cooking all season. Even the other dude, I don't remember what his name is, but the
Oh,
other
Shade.
guy of color
Yeah,
that's been scoring every now and then as
I
well.
think his name is like Shade or Sinead or something like that.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Well, because even just looking at the most basic of stats, like yeah, like the attack has actually been very good. Yeah, it's
Mm,
been their defense that's been the issue. 14th best defense in the league is not going to get you where you need to go, right? In terms of getting into those top parts of the table.
mm.
But attacking wise, you are right. Their attacking metrics do like have them in and around that like fifth to eighth.
Upper echelon,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then defensively, that's kind of where they need to step it up. Like even on XG, seventh worst defense in the league on XG. So it's like I definitely haven't watched enough of Brentford to
Mm,
why maybe like they haven't been as defensively sound this year. Because I do remember too. I think earlier in the year, I don't know if it's gotten better. Their away record was like terrible, like actual like relegation form. With their away record in the league, so that's probably also done a lot to hinder them as well. Like if I was like I
mm.
have to check it out right now. Hold on if I can do that.
Let's see. Wouldn't be shocked.
Okay, so their away record is not as bad anymore, but I do remember at a point it was like they were basically all their wins from like their home. So,
Mm,
but yeah, I mean, even still, 14 points out of 13 away matches, like that's literally like relegation for them. Although obviously the
yeah.
relegation is more
It's
hard.
it's like at the bottom of everyone else that they're competing with in that mid table, in that middle class table. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. Although I am surprised by Villa as well. I didn't realize their form was also
Mm.
terrible.
Yeah, it
27
explains why they're 10th now, I guess. Yeah.
and 27 goals conceded away that is
Oof.
in 13 matches. That's shockingly bad.
It's crazy.
Uh, but yeah, and just going elsewhere, we already know about the La Liga title race going crazy. Um, what did you think about that Atletico and Barcelona match in the Copa del Rey?
Mm. So I only saw the goals afterwards because I'm a Barca fan, but I'm a Liverpool fan first, and the league matters more to me than like cup games. So I was keeping track of like the scoreline, but I wasn't watching it live. I was watching the Liverpool game
Mhm.
live, but watching some of the goals back, it looked like an interesting affair. Like Atletico being up off rip. I think they were up 2-0, and then it's seeming like they're gonna bottle this, and then it's seeming like yo they're getting cooked only for it to end a draw 4-4 at the end because I think they were 2-0 up and then 4-2 down and then 4-4 as a draw. Very up and down game. I think it's an okay result from both fan bases perspective that it wasn't the best showing defensively for either team maybe, but from a pride perspective, they can both walk away like, okay, we didn't get battered by our main rivals, I guess. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
yeah.
like from an athletic perspective, I'm sitting on it. I'd be pissed, and I think I would be pissed especially because two of the goals they conceded were both back post corners. So it's like like this Barcelona team is already like we already know their attack is potent. Like you don't need to help them out by not marking your your men well on the corner kicks, right? So
Mm,
I think it's probably the biggest disappointment from an athletic perspective. And then for Barcelona, I mean, this is why like I can't like it's games like this that I can't like really like bet my house on them winning the league because it's like you have to be able to have that level of uh,
discipline
yeah,
and
exactly, like in game. Like if you're up 4-2 with like 10 minutes left, why are you still playing a high line when you don't need to? Like
mm,
especially like that, especially the second goal, the last goal that they conceded. And like it's egregious because it's like because it literally comes I think Kuna gets like robbed of the ball or something. He like falls down and the high line just gets exposed immediately. with like a
Mm,
3 or whatever. But it's like in situations like that, just slow the game down. Like you don't need to be doing that, and that comes straight from your coach. So, um,
mm,
but obviously, attacking wise, we already know what Barcelona are capable of. So we're gonna see, how this translates to what they do in the league. And funny enough, even if you look at the what games are coming up next for the top three, they all have some pretty difficult games. So I think Barcelona are playing Real Sociedad, who are a solid team in their own right. Madrid's playing Betis away. The Atletico are playing the team in fourth place in Athletic Bilbao. So they all have like some stern fixtures for this match week. So that should be interesting.
mm.
Yeah.
Not sure. One thing I would say, just as a caveat for Atletico, for as difficult, for as disappointed as they have every right to feel, the one caveat is okay. One of your superstars wasn't playing though, Jan Oblak. Like we understand Atletico, they're defensively good structurally, but even amidst that, they've always had the keeper that bails them out, even when the system might break down a little bit. When they're a little bit exposed and concede high value chances. So that's the one caveat I would say. Okay, Oblak wasn't there. Maybe on another night they could actually close out a result like how it looked like it would have been from early when they were 2-0 up.
Oh yeah, yeah. My beef with them is honestly more so those two corners. Like
Yeah.
if they continue the two of those goals and those two goals in open play, then I'd probably be more willing to give you that because it's like, come on, mark your damn back post, man, twice. And
Not
then
fair.
for Serie A, Inter is playing Napoli this weekend, so very, very big. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I don't rate this guy in our chat, I can admit Napoli are definitely feeling the effects of not having Kvaratskhelia there. Um,
Mm,
but I was looking at, I saw like a tweet of like their statistics attacking wise since he's been gone, and it's just like gone off a cliff. So it's like what's it called? And then now they've kind of drawn three in a row. They haven't won in four matches, and
mm,
it's kind of crazy because Inter gave them an opportunity to really build on
true.
lead that they had at the time, right? Like they drew with Milan, they lost to Fiorentina, they lost to Juve as well. Shout out to Kolo Muani, and Napoli weren't able to capitalize. So it's gonna be very important for them, to be able to get that important victory tomorrow at home in Naples to really kind of send out that message that we're still in this, and especially with only 12 games to go.
Yeah, not true. Like Napoli, like I think I've said in the chat, in the group chat, that I don't really rate them like that, like in terms of respectfully. I don't look at them and think, oh, these guys are championship quality. But they deserve respect for what they've done so far. But I've said things that sound disrespectful. They're like, oh, I think they're going to finish third or fourth, which is looking likely. But I think I'm just being honest in terms of what I've seen in that league, for example, and what I've seen from a Conte team in this specific situation. So what I've seen from this league, for example, I remember the days of when Roma used to compete. They were actually way more talented than this Napoli team. I remember the days of when Napoli used to compete, when they had Higuain leading the lines, or when he went to Juve. Even after that, when they had Jose Calhoun and they had Dries Mertens and Insigne, all these teams, and I'm sorry. I remember it, and I remember like, yo, these guys are so close, but they were just missing something. And then even afterwards, after the Juve dominance dwindled down a little bit, just before they fully died, I remember the first year that Inter was like, yo, this is a serious team. Inter led that league. I don't know if people remember. I think it was 1920. Inter led that season for most of the season, and then they huffed and puffed, and then they lost. I think they finished second or third, but they were far ahead for the majority of the season.
Yeah,
They
I do.
ended up stumbling. Yeah, and I look at this Napoli team, and I kind of see the same thing, but lower scale, just because they're far less talented. And I think, yeah, Inter, yo, they've been giving him so many chances in these last 4 weeks to like, yo, build up a lead. And Napoli, like, they just don't have it in them to close that deal. And I think we're gonna get to a point where, okay, Inter, if you can just go on a run, 4 or 5 wins on the bounce, this league is yours. I
Because
think, yeah,
when you look at Napoli, right, like even when you just look at this is their last starting 11. Where is the playmaking gonna come from?
bro.
Like Lobotka's a deep line six. McTominay is a box to box is a box crasher without Jude Bellingham type playmaking, and then Bellingham, like, what are we doing, bro?
Dog.
Like, even when I just
They're
look,
lit.
yeah, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's respectfully. They're literally just relying on the momentum that they had from the beginning. It's like just win at all cost, win at all cost. It's like every game is like a final. Win at all cost, win at all cost. It's not like, oh, let's dominate this week. Let's have a Lukaku score consistently. Let's have a I don't like these these other players, but from an offensive perspective. But a Lobotka, this is not necessarily his role. But it's not, let's have a Lobotka who's creating so many chances every game. Let's have a Raspadori who's a complementary striker who can play. He can kind of be a makeshift in other positions, but it's like, let's have him complement those around him. It's not that. It's the way I see it. It's actually, oh, win at all costs. It's literally Jid, get it done at all costs. Win this week, 1-0, you're good. That's 3 points on the board. And it's kind of been that approach for
Okay,
as long as possible. And it's like that approach can only last so long when you don't
one of the things
have
that's kind of crazy
high
is
up echelon talent.
because one of the things that's kind of crazy, which like for example, like you look at their big chances created, like why is Lukaku second with all due
Bro, bro. And Politano, bro, Politano was one of the guys that they relied on in like the last 10 games when the league was already wrapped up in 22-23, and they had like a few injuries, and the fire to keep going was kind of dying out from Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia. They'd already won the league, but Politano was one of those guys that's like, okay, I can come on the pitch, offer energy and stuff. Now
like
I'm
even in
seeing this
terms of
dude is leading the line for creativity. No, no, no.
like even in terms of XA, like they still have like Krav has been gone for like over a month. Actually, I think probably like a
Hmm.
month and a half, and he's still like second for expected
Sure.
assists in their squad.
Crazy.
So yeah, I definitely think selling him in January, even though I do think he wanted to leave, has definitely been a mistake that's probably going to cost them a Scudetto, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
selling them and not replacing him, and then also thinking that Garnacho is the only deal that should have been made. They're like, oh, like it's either Garnacho or bust. Like if you sign Garnacho, that's potentially a mistake, and then if he's not available, we'll rock out with whoever, like with the remainder of the team. Both approaches, it's like, no, no, no. What are we doing, man?
and then when we come to Inter, the thing that stands out to me most is Martinez. De donde es? Actually, I don't think I said that, but I basically I said, "Where are you?"
He's he's leading off the pitch, bro. He's got the ram. He's leading off the pitch.
I mean, but even with Durant, I feel like his goal scoring has definitely slowed down as of late. But I mean, I'm not really gonna give him beef. Yeah, because last time he scored in Serie A was on the 19th of January, and we're about it. And by the time this game starts, it's going to be March. So, but like, I'm not really gonna give him beef because like that's at the end of the day, that's not his role. He's there as a complementary piece
Mm,
for Martinez. And I know Inter
mm,
likes to do this thing where they rotate a lot. And I mean, I'm like, I don't know. Is it something? Does it have something to do with team chemistry? Like the fact that these players don't play consistent minutes together for any what's it called, certain amount of time. Um, like defensively, what I was saying last time we were on here, and I was comparing their defense in the Champions League to how they defend in Serie A, like because all jokes aside, this Napoli team should not have been leading the league for as long as they've been. So,
mm,
and Inter again are lucky that they sold one of their best players in Crava. So like they just don't have the enough offensive power to really make Inter pay for all the mistakes that they've been making this season. So
mm.
where are you at with Inter in Serie A?
Yeah, I think they're gonna close. They're gonna close the league out. I hope that Lautaro's form improves because I think he's a much better player than he's been leading on from a clinical perspective and from a goal scoring perspective. I think he can definitely have a better role to play for Inter in these last 10, 11 games to close the season. And yeah, I've been seeing that they do rotate a lot. Arnautovic sometimes starts ahead of either Martinez or Thuram. Not majority of the times, but from like there's a good amount of times that they rotate.
I mean,
Like Arnautovic might pipe up
he
through.
scored a crazy goal in their Italia match. I don't know if you saw it was like a volley from like
Yeah.
but yeah, I know. I definitely agree with that. But I just think I just think they're gonna win the title by default because Napoli, like I said, they're falling off. Juve are incompetent. Atalanta technically in there as well, but they've been inconsistent and their coach like hates half their players. Um, and then Lazio, give me a break. Milan are finished. Holy shit, Milan are finished.
Yeah, they're eight. Goodness
We're,
gracious.
we're not gonna get to those bums. Shout out to John Felix. Um, Bundesliga's finished. Yeah, Bundesliga's done. Even though,
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
yeah. But shout out to Garassi. Scored 4 goals last week.
Mm.
So we're gonna see if Niko Kovac can revive these bums. And Marco Rose, yeah, you're probably finished too, buddy. Because Leipzig, I don't know what the hell they like. Leipzig ever since like November have just been trash, like just trash.
Mm.
Like I remember they got destroyed 5-1 by Bayern, and I think since then they've only won 3 match. Is it 3 or 4 matches so far all year? So like they're very I know so they've only won 3 matches in the Bundesliga in this entire calendar year. So you know like you're not gonna be making top 4 with that kind of um form, but they have a squad that should be good enough to make top 4. You have the likes of Sesko, Openda, Xavi Simmons, Orban. Like they have quality players in there to be better than
Mm.
they showed themselves to be, and you combine that with the terrible, terrible outing they had for themselves, in the Champions League
Mm.
league phase. I, Jorgen, bro, you got to be doing your job as the sporting director. Cut that shit out. And Ligue 1's done too, so I feel like that kind of does it for the whole league discussion of this live. So now we're gonna go on to the main event.
Okay,
Why?
but just before we go to that, yeah,
Oh,
it's done. But if PSG go unbeaten, that's pretty cool. Like they finally lose their upper echelon historic all timer level talent players like Mbappe and Neymar. And if they can go unbeaten after that, it's a pretty interesting thing to do.
I mean, I do think because I don't know, the other teams they were keeping up with them up until about like December-ish.
Mm.
Marseille with the Zerbi and who shall not be named. Um, Leo, they've actually, Leo have been doing well in the Champions League. They got the likes of like Jonathan David. Even Lyon, they've been fighting for their lives because they're not trying to get relegated. Monaco, they just got this like new striker who I don't know why I didn't play him against Benfica. His name is like Biereth or something like that.
Yeah, Pierre. I think he's from Arsenal's academy. I think he was
Yes,
there a couple of years ago. Yeah.
yes, he was. So far he's been killing it for them. Yeah, I remember he got a hat trick like
Mm.
to go against Nantes. So he's been doing his thing. Um, so it'll be very interesting to maybe, I don't know, maybe see what happens next year. Because I do think, especially Monaco, I think if they had this guy from the get-go, they might have made something better of themselves because
True.
that scrub, what's his name?
Oh,
The
Embolo, real Embolo.
that scrub. He's been, every time I watch them, he's just a disgrace in the field. It is what. But all right. That's enough of that. It's time for why we're here. Knockout phase football, round of 16,
Yes,
big
sir.
big boy league, leg one, first week of March, March Madness, if you will. What are we saying? So we're gonna start. So we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna leave the big matches. We're gonna save that for the end. So by big matches, I'm talking PSG Liverpool, obviously the Madrid derby, and the Bayern Leverkusen tie. We're gonna save those three for the end. So
Mm.
we're gonna start with the more quote unquote lopsided matches. PSV Arsenal. Um, I'm not gonna lie, PSV are not a team that I give any respect to be perfectly
Mm.
true. They have four injuries compared to Arsenal's five. And then I believe that what have they been doing? They're second in the league in the Eredivisie, which is kind of funny because I remember them having like a crazy like win streak to start the year. So, or was it final? I don't remember. So I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But they have the likes of Johan Bakayoko, De Jong. I guess I don't know if this guy's injured, but I know this is like American midfielder has been playing off for them too. I think his name is Mark Tillman. But yeah,
Mm.
what are we saying
And then
about?
also Noah Lang, right? He's back. He's at PSV, right?
I
Yeah, I think
think
so. I think he's at PSV.
so. What are we
The
saying? What are we saying?
Yeah. If this was a month ago, I would say this is a foregone conclusion. Arsenal should be beating the brakes off of these guys, have a home and away professional wins, and get back on track with the title race. But I think the heartbreak of what they're going through in the title race currently, in terms of like not getting results, and then also the source for goals because of the players that are missing
Hmm.
makes the tie a little more interesting because they're literally playing a modern day Fellaini up top, you know, and it's not like I already said from the beginning of the season, the way that they were getting their goals isn't sustainable in terms of winning the entire league if the teams that are competing with them are serious, which was spamming crosses and corners and all this stuff. I didn't think that was sustainable to be a champion with the talent that they have. And now some of that talent is out for like an extended period of time. And Saka, who's one of the best players in not only the league but the world, and Martinelli, who the fan base hates, but since he's been gone, they've been struggling even more. And Havertz now, fan base also hates and can't stand. But seeing as they didn't sign a striker, they literally have no other focal point with him gone. So with all of these guys gone and the approach that they had, which is already capping their ceiling, in my opinion, it's like, nah, nah, nah. These dudes, like, they need all the luck they can get to win matches, which they got against Leicester, for example. But nah, these brothers are cooked. So for as much as a month ago, this should have been a foregone conclusion. Makes things a little more easier. They're a little vulnerable. There's blood in the water that if PSV can just go for it, who knows? I would still say Arsenal should be winning this 1-2-0, but there's blood in the water. I wouldn't be shocked if PSV provided like a shock result, and then you're gonna see on the timeline, oh, the Premier League sucks, losing to a Dutch team, all this rubbish. Even they'll take out the context, but it's fine, you know. But yeah, it's a little more interesting of a tie than when it was first announced.
Speaking of interesting ties, speaking of you need to defend your league's honor. Inter Milan, you're up, buddy. You're gonna have to rep for Serie A, man. Yeah, y'all gonna have to y'all gonna have to. Oh my God, Chris, I do see this.
Yeah, sure.
Inter, I triple dog dare you to not beat these dudes. I dare you. I actually dare. I dare you on everything that I love. I dare you to not beat these dudes, man.
Yeah, no, they can't afford to disgrace that league anymore. Then it's already disgraced. Like Feyenoord has every player under the sun out.
Like, bro, they could actually make a whole like other squad out of their injured players. Enter, please, like, you have to, I'm not even gonna give a prediction. I'm just gonna say Inter. You have to. That's all I'm gonna say. You actually have to. Like, you don't have a choice in the matter. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree.
All right, Club Brugge, Aston Villa. So Brugge, I guess this is a club that I guess I have to give respect to. Right? They beat Atalanta. They gave City a good go, and I'm pretty sure Club Brugge played Aston Villa early, and they beat them as well, actually. So, Villa will need to get a bit of revenge, and for this game. And I'm curious, just looking at kind of the storyline of this game, right? Because obviously, I'm not gonna pretend like I saw it in action, but Club Brugge created a lot of chances with less possession, a decent amount less possession, 44 to 56. You kind of see here that Villa had more of the momentum. So that means that whenever Club Brugge did have the momentum, they made the most of the chances, which, considering that Villa played with such a high line, I'm not too surprised about. And then kind of just looking at what they've been doing so far in the league. I know, like, up before that City game, they went on like a 20-game unbeaten run or something like that, which is still wild because they're still not even first in their own league, and they're behind by a comfortable margin. Just lost to Standard Liège last week in the league. So what are we saying? What are we saying about Club Brugge? Brugge.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they knocked out Aston Villa. To be honest, would not be shocked at all. I hope. I don't know. Actually,
Well,
I was about to say.
I
Yeah.
hope, because I need that fifth spot. So I have that Villa deserves.
Yeah, part of me is what I was about to say is I hope Villa goes through for like English quota, I guess. But from a Liverpool vantage point, hypothetically, before we even get to that tie, hypothetically, if they do knock out PSG, I'd rather see another weak continental team than another Prem team. Rather, so stuck between two minds, but I think I can see Bruges going through, and I low-key hope they win.
Yeah, it'll definitely be. It'll definitely be. Who knows? Maybe that could be a sleeper tie to keep your eyes on. And then I think the last of the quote unquote less important ties. Actually, wait, no, there's two more, because I'm not gonna lie, Barcelona, I dare you to not beat Benfica. I don't care. I don't care that they scored 4 on you in the last game. I don't give a shit. You better fucking beat Benfica. That's what I'm gonna say. like they literally scored 4 on y'all, and y'all still somehow like fugazi you away to 5 goals. So assuming that you don't get, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm actually curious about something. How many times have Barcelona conceded 3 or more goals this season?
This season, let me see. So against Atletico, previous game,
Against
the last time. Well, I guess Atalanta was 2. So if you say 3, that's the barometer. Then Atalanta doesn't count. That was 2 goals. Okay, so 3 in specific now, but like multi goals. It's happened a few times. Betis away, Dortmund away, Real Madrid in the cup. Osasuna, Celta Vigo away, even Red Star, even Red Star away. You can see the 2 goals.
My Red Star's crazy, but so, and then that Pavlidis is the guy for Benfica. He's been kind of cooking. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I don't give a shit.
That's that Greek guy, right?
Yeah, he's Greek. But despite everything I just said, I don't care. You have to win.
No, they do, but
no, Chris. They just do. Like, they're full stop.
No, they're 100%. I fully agree. I'm not gonna present anything contrary. Only thing I would say is they've played them within these last 4 years a couple of times, like this season, and then they were in the same group like 3 or 4 seasons ago.
That was when I remember this, because that was part of how that guy was scammed to my club.
And it's also part of how that other guy came to my club, Darwin Nunes. He made his name off of when Benfica smoked him 3-0.
Wait, I thought that was the season that was his first season with you because he came in the same season that Haaland did, no?
No. So this was 21-22 when we made the Champions League final, when Liverpool made the Champions League final. That was
Oh,
Darwin's last season. Yeah.
oh, interesting. Why did I think Benfica played them right before the World Cup? Um,
No, it was a year before.
okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I'm a Benfica fan, I can look at that and be like, yeah, we lost at home and uh, we led at times and then we bottled it and then it seemed like it could have been a draw and then ended up losing, sure. But if I'm a Benfica fan, I'm not super scared. Like scoring four against Barca, that's you're showing that we can hold our own through some capacity. No.
But to be
So if I'm a Benfica fan, no.
let's look at Benfica. I mean, how many times do they be dunking on dudes in terms of scoring goals? So they put three past Vista. Obviously, they drew 3-3 with Monaco. So they've scored two more times in their league. Three more times, actually. Actually, four more times. I'm looking at it right now. Obviously, we know about the Barcelona game.
Mm.
Put three past Monaco in the league phase as well. Shout out to them. Okay, so they do seem to be. So they do. I'm looking at them. They do seem to be a pretty prolific team. I'm even seeing here that they average over 2 goals a game in the Portuguese league as well. So they're definitely not. Um, they're definitely not lacking for potency in terms of goal this season, just from the look of it. So I can respect that.
But with that being said, now Barca, get it done. We're not trying to hear nothing.
Yeah. Like I don't care. Like we don't care. Like that's Stephen A. Club. We don't care. I tell you right now, we don't care. Like, all right, and then okay, so this is probably the most high profile out of the quote unquote filler matches. Probably the most even one too, to be honest. Dortmund Lille. This is a battle of the underrated strikers, Guirassy and Jonathan David.
John David, yeah.
So Lille right now they enter with 3 wins out of their last 5. Dortmund only 2 wins out of their last 5, but obviously they just dismantled and destroyed Union Berlin 6-0 in their last match. I know Dortmund have been dealing with some injuries around like the December, January period when they basically didn't have any defenders when they went up to go play Bayern and Leverkusen as well. And then I believe also that even right now, like there's been a lot of talk about how they don't really fuck with what's his face, the Turkish German dude that plays center back. That's actually a midfielder. Emre Can used to play for your club as well. And then I know Carney Chukwuemeka played. I watched a comp of his last game when they played Berlin, and he looked really good when he came on for less like 20, 30 minutes. And then for Lille, they're missing Zagrova, who's been one of their best players this season. Umtiti, who's always like dead, so that doesn't really mean much. And I know Lille will probably be a bit disappointed with their league campaign because it started off pretty well, like I said, and it kind of just fell off slowly as the season went along. But obviously, they've been doing well in the Champions League, did well to make the round of 16, have beaten some big teams in the likes of, I believe they beat
Real Madrid.
Madrid and Milan as well.
Mm.
But before Milan just fell off completely, and we stopped respecting them. So yeah, what are we saying about this tie?
Yeah, it's a exciting tie from a we don't know what's going to happen perspective because Dortmund is super unpredictable, man. Like they could come here and I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Lille 3-0. And I also wouldn't be shocked if they lost like 3-1 or 3-2 or even 3-0. Wouldn't be shocked, entirely shocked. It
The
would be
funny thing
like,
with
oh.
Dortmund is I feel like the best performance I think I've seen them in the season was that game against Barcelona.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like even over the past 2 seasons, Dortmund are the type of team to show up for the big games, at least to put in a performance
Mm.
when everyone's watching, but then they just don't have that consistency to do it against the little teams either.
True, true. So like pretty unpredictable. So it could genuinely go either way. I guess for the how do I put this? For the story of the competition, you would want the more reputable team to go to progress. So I guess that's Dortmund. So ideally, maybe like low respect to them. They have like nice, decent players. Jonathan David, underrated guy. If they can progress to the quarterfinals, fair enough. But I guess for the merit of the tournament, I guess it would be better to see a Dortmund versus who would they play in the quarterfinals? Would it be Inter and would it be between? Yeah, who would they play? I don't remember actually. Barcelona. Yeah, yeah. I guess it would be a better tie seeing Dortmund versus Barca again than Lille versus Barca. So that tie can go either way, but yeah, hopefully Dortmund gets it done, and they're at home, so I think they will win this game at the very least, the first leg at the very least.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I'm definitely excited to see who out of the B tier underrated strikers is gonna shine in this match. Um, all right, so now we are down to the big boys, the big boy ties, the big boy matches. Why this organization gets paid money.
Mhm.
We are going to start with the all German affair. The um, which one of us really should win this freaking Bundesliga derby? UCL tie. Um, and I just want to say, because I know that you, Chris, are not a fan of this brother here. Um, so they played each other like 3 times this season. So 2 draws
Uh,
and a Leverkusen win. And I just want to say in that reverse fixture that Leverkusen were the ones playing terrorism ball. So I just want, and I want people to remember that because people are just gonna act like, oh, companies are the only one that's done it this year, and look at
uh,
look at how nice and shiny freaking Xabi Alonso's hair is. So you look how nice. So
mm,
I just want to say they've both done terrorism ball against each other once this year. So I just want to
yeah,
put that out
just
there.
just to see how the results. Yeah, fair.
And then in the DFB Pokal match that was played, um, it seemed like outside of Kane, the Bayern team was mostly full strength, and same could be said about the Leverkusen team. And even just kind of like looking at it from a pure stats point of view, it seemed to be an even match, despite the fact that Neuer got a red card in the first 17 minutes. So, you didn't really get an accurate gauge of, where these teams were on a full 11v11 type of feel. So, given all
Mm,
of that context, what are we saying about this tie? And especially also given where these two teams are in terms of form at the moment, they've both won 3 of their last 5 matches and 2 draws in between.
mm, yeah. Okay, I would add a few more variables from this perspective. I would say, in my opinion, Bayern Munich can't afford to be knocked out from this competition at this stage. Leverkusen, to a degree, they can. They can. Bayern Munich, not only because they've been getting embarrassed, at least this season so far, against Feyenoord, struggling against Celtic. They got smoked against
I,
Barcelona.
I think you could take off like 2 strugglings off that Celtic match, but continue.
But yeah, so from this campaign alone, they haven't been doing themselves a good service in representing the merit of the club. And then historically, what they've been doing in the Champions League since I guess Robin joined the team back in was it 07, 08 and brought this team back to like being
Rob,
Champions League juggernauts. Yeah, Robin, because they were like a Europa team for a little bit. It was other people as well, but like Robin was was leading that charge of bringing Bayern Munich back. So just trying to put it into context that for like the last 15 years, Bayern has been a force in this competition. And for like the last 4 years, I know they lost to a great team in Madrid last season, but bro, seeing them lose to Villarreal in was it 21, 22, who did they lose to in 22, 23? City? The way
Yeah,
that they got smoked
yeah, but
was
like,
was it?
yeah, it was kind of disgusting, bro. Like early
Yeah.
Hall dribbled past a player to score a goal. Like that's man, I remember that because I remember that people were talking about how good Upamecano was that year. Now
Mm,
he's like and like no, actually he's actually really good. And then I actually believe that too. And I was gonna rep it, but then
mm.
Holland did that, so I was like,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
it was a disgrace. Yeah, and yeah, they had a great result against Arsenal in the KOs last season. And I thought they did themselves a good service at the very least against Madrid, but they still lost. But just the trajectory of the spells that they've been producing in this tournament since they won in 2020 hasn't been good. It just has not been good overall. I think it's looking very much like those Europa League Bayern Munich teams that you can look back on in like the mid 2000s to just they before Louis van Gaal came back and got them to the Champions League final with Robin and them. So like based off of the merit of this competition and their prestige as a club, they cannot afford to lose this tie. I understand this is a Leverkusen team that you've been competing against for 2 years, and they've had your number, and it's been pretty difficult to overcome them. But we need to call a spade a spade. Like I understand tactics, I understand the way that the opposition they play as an opposition. It makes life very difficult. But mano y mano, Bayern Munich are more talented than Bayer Leverkusen. To me, if Company is beyond a competent coach, because maybe I am a little unfair to him, maybe he is competent. I don't think he's competent for Bayern Munich in specific, but maybe as an ISO coach, maybe he is competent,
well,
but
because I'm actually curious about that play for play take. Because if you were to look, because this is the starting 11 from their last match, right?
mm,
If we were to just do straight up like mono y mono right now, right, you
mm,
take Boyer over Hadraki. I would probably take one at center back from each team. Where I'd probably take Toff from Leverkusen and Upamecano because Kim, bro, brother, don't make me don't make me say what I want to say, bro. Because I'm going to say right now is Son and Kongan Lee. They've been having to hold it down for the Korean brothers because you are not holding down shit. That's all I'm gonna. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yo. Yo.
Yeah, but let me not be. That's. Let me be a bit more respectful. But not really. Um, right. Like if I were to look at their, to be fair, I don't know why the hell Grimaldo's playing because he's technically a wingback. So just based off of that alone, I'm not taking him over Olise.
Mm,
Taking Frimpong over Coleman because he's also a wingback run into space merchant.
mm.
Midfield wise, I'd probably say this midfield just has like obviously Kimmich is better than these two, but
Yeah,
this
but from a
midfield,
balance
yeah,
perspective,
balance
sure.
wise, yeah, this midfield has way more legs going forwards and backwards than these two.
Mm,
Even though I know Pavlovich has a shot on him, I'd say Verts is better than Musiala, and then Kim
yeah.
is better than Tella. So I don't. So I do think it's closer than it looks, and just even from like a pound for pound player wise. Mainly because I'll be honest, Bayern's wingers have been actual disgraces, except for Elise for the last like 2-3 years. Um, but you are right though. I do think, like I do think in terms of who needs to win this more, I would actually say it's pretty even. For just because I know Bayern obviously have the higher pedigree in this competition,
Mm,
but I mean Leverkusen are the team that don't really have anything else to do this year. Like they're probably going to win the Pokal because I don't really think there's any. I think the only other strong team left in that competition is like Leipzig, but I can't really guarantee that for sure. So I'm not going to say that. And then they're not going to catch Bayern in the league. So lo and behold, they don't really have anything else to do at the moment if they don't win this tie. So I do think there is pressure on them from that perspective to um go through Bayern in this tie as well. But you can continue.
Yeah, no, sure, sure. I hear it to an extent. There is a little bit of pressure. There's an incentive to be like, okay, let's maximize the rest of the season.
Oh my
But
God,
I
there's my
also
word again.
hmm? Very useful word, very
If
useful
you
word.
have a, if you
But
have a, if you have a son, you have to name him like Maximilian or some shit, bro. 'Cause, like you have to, bro. Like I will not accept anything else, bro.
but yeah, like yeah, that's true. And then I also think uh, in the same breath, I look at a Leverkusen and I also think they're also playing with house money. That yeah, there's an incentive to make it as far as you can in this Champions League, but every win is just a bonus from this point on. Like especially with the teams that they're likely to play. Like knocking out Bayern Munich, that's beyond the bonus. That's like yo, this is stuff we can tell generations moving down the line that not only did we have a unbeaten season over Bayern Munich after they had won 10 Bundesligas in a row. Was it 11? I don't remember. I don't care. But not only did we have an unbeaten season on top of their head, but we also knocked them out of the league the next year. And then hypothetically, if they knock out Bayern Munich, they'd be playing Inter. That's still house money. I think Inter's better, but I think another tie that can work in their favor even more than against a Bayern, for example, just because of like the pressure going into the game. I think that tie is house money too. Like you made it to the quarterfinals. Like if you beat them, you make it to the semis. Like I think they'll just be playing with house money all tournament. So I think they should give it their best, but I think however far they make it, I think they'll be content. Bayern Munich though, it's a grave, grave shame. Like if they don't make the semifinals. Like regardless of how it's packaged. If they lose this tie, it's pathetic and no one will give them any leeway. If they lose against Inter, pretty much the same thing. It'll be branded as pathetic and no one will give them leeway. It'll only be at the semifinals that will be like, okay, at least they made the semis.
Well, because to be fair, so when they made it, actually no, because they made it to semis last year, they beat Arsenal. Yeah, they
Mm.
did beat Arsenal. And I'll be honest. Speaking of, I got just to do a little bit of retrospective analysis. That Bayern Arsenal tie was when I gave up on this Arsenal group. Cause like, no, really, because when you really deep in it, we were talking shit about Bayern. Oh, this is the worst Bayern squad of the last 10 years,
Yeah.
which it was. This is a team that couldn't concede 3 goals to Bochum last year. This is a team. This is a team that got like touched up by Stuttgart of all people.
Mm. Yeah, what they lost like 5-1, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oof.
yeah. So, and then this was Arsenal, who, to be fair, I think the only person they were missing was like Zinchenko. That's to put Kyrgios at left back, and he sucks. So they, with all of that going for them, not only could they not knock out Bayern, Bayern was getting away with murder. And I'm just like, okay, if you guys can't beat an elite, granted still an elite squad, but at their lowest point since in like this modern era of football,
Mm.
how good is this project really?
True.
And because but anyway, but that's a little off topic. But I do
Nah,
agree.
but it's fair. It's a fair thing to bring up.
Mhm. But no, I do agree with you though that I feel like for Leverkusen, this season could serve to be a bit of a crossroads in like their history in terms of what are their ambitions going forward. Because obviously, I don't really, it's not really expected that they're going to keep Jabi Alonso long term. But because like one of the things that's actually like not known about Leverkusen is they ain't poor. Like they are not a poor team. Like
Mm.
finance wise, like because they literally sponsor. I'm pretty sure Bayer are literally a pharmaceutical company, so they got
Mm.
money. So like for if you're a Leverkusen, I feel like a tie like this is like how do we want to be known as a serious squad, right? Like even though they're not gonna win the league this year, if you
Mm.
supplement a unbeaten league win, a DFB Pokal win, and a Europa League final win that granted they lost. You supplement that the next season with second place, probably another Pokal win, and being able to make the latter stages of the Champions Leagues. That's usually that's like the first steps to beat a serious club. But so we're gonna see
Yeah.
if they want that for themselves. So I think that's probably the most important thing for them going into a tie like this. Because again, you know, Bayern are like as far as Bayern has been in them in the league. People aren't looking at them as the Bayern of like 2017 or 2016 or whatever. You know,
Mm.
some people that I am not a part of would call this manager the fourth letter, fifth letter, and the ninth letter of the alphabet higher. Um,
No comment.
no, not me. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people at all. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
what some of these narratives are. So
yeah.
you look at all of those things. Their winger options are actual disgraces to wingers, to elite wingers. Um, Harry Kane is as slow as a turtle, and then
Bro, he's so slow. It's crazy.
he's low key declining, but we're not going to talk about that.
Mm.
And Kim, I'm just going to say Kim. I'm not even going to say like Kim is there. So you put in all of these things. Bayern are there for the taking. So if Leverkusen, if you want to be known as a serious club for this decade, you have
Mm.
you have to show up. And I'm not
I,
gonna. You have to. Oh, and Norability broke his legs. So yeah, you have to show up.
nah, I hear it. I hear it.
And even just like kind of looking at them, low key, like defensive is actually pretty good. The fifth best defense so far in the Champions League. Um, fifth in terms of possession. Goal scoring needs a little work, but to be fair, like I know this kind of middle cluster doesn't really mean anything. So like 1.9,
Mm.
I'd probably put them like you could probably range them as high as like seventh. Because I mean 1.9 to like 2.2, like that 0.3 difference is not really moving the needle like that much to be that petty about it. But what's it called? Which would actually put them in line with where Bayern are right now. So yeah, this is like very even, and I'm not gonna. So like, if they're just like, oh, like it's Bayern, woe is us, definitely not gonna accept that. So
Nah, I hear it. I hear it. Oh, but who do you think is gonna win the first leg at least? Who's playing at home? Is it Leverkusen?
let me see. So first leg is at the Allianz.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's worse for Bayern, low key.
Yeah, I do agree with that because um, I feel like it might. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know because Bayern they just look the worst out of the two, and I think Verts has the highest ceiling of performance out of any of the players in either squad in this match right now.
Mm.
Um, so I'd probably go with like a 1-1 draw. To be honest, I'd probably put like a very low scoring draw. I feel like it'll probably be reminiscent. I feel like it'll probably be reminiscent of the two Bundesliga matches they've played with each other, where one of the two teams is going to be very tentative and the other one's not going to be able to break them down.
Mm.
But considering that both teams have shown a capacity to do that, I don't know which of those teams would fall into which role. So
Yeah, like I agree. I can see like a 1-1 or 0-0 in this first leg. And as a Liverpool, not Liverpool, as a Leverkusen, if I'm a Leverkusen fan or supporter, I would take that as a win. I would take that as nah, that's calm. That's a good scenario to go into for the second leg, going at home and playing to the crowd. And just all you need is one goal, a one goal margin, and you win. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think a draw is okay for them. It's good, more than okay in that first leg. So and I can see a draw happening in the first leg.
All right. Now moving on. PSG Liverpool. Uh how do you actually before I even get to this, but how do you feel? We all finished first, and this is the reward.
Yeah, this is one of the worst. One of the worst. This is one of the worst ways to try and incentivize people to take the league phase seriously in terms of, oh, let's do our best to win every single game.
Dude,
I think,
I never understood why they don't just like seed from like after the playoffs. They don't just like go by whoever the lowest seed is.
mm, like, it literally doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But in the same breath that it is unfortunate from a taking my personal opinion out of it and just a general fan and Liverpool fan perspective, it's kind of hard done by. My personal opinion is, hey man, like I think we're the best team in the world as it stands, and yeah, sure, in an ideal world, you want an easier run to the final, but in the same breath, if I really think we're the best, I don't fear going against these other other teams, particularly when we're already leading the actual league in
I
of
mean,
itself. We have a comfy lead.
so are PSG.
Not true, no, no, but I'm saying from a Liverpool vantage point that because we have a comfy lead in our league, that we can put even more focus on the Champions League moving forward. So we like, I'm not saying this should happen, but for example, if we tanked the Southampton game in between the first and second leg,
Which you
we
should.
could do it and still be like, oh, okay,
But you,
we could take that on the chin.
that's what you got to do. You got to play that same squad that played Plymouth, and if they lose, be like you're all getting sold. Like with all due like,
But yeah, that's a far better scenario than imagine Arsenal's within 2 points of us and we have a game against Southampton battling relegation, basically relegated, but I guess they'll play for pride and just try and spoil the party, for example.
I would still put the Plymouth squad in anyway. But I dare you guys to lose this game. On God, I dare you to lose this game.
Ah, bro, I'm not the timeout. No, no, no. That is a must win. If it's like a 2 point difference and we're trying to win this league, must win, bro. And it's like, and that's the funny thing about 18, 19. We went on crazy runs, even though we had like that barren spell where we drew to United and drew to Everton, and I think the other game was West Ham.
Shout out to Everton, bro. They really cost all the league. That's tough, bro.
Bro, those dudes. But anyways, the funny thing about that 18-19 run, because we did come across tough teams and stuff, and we did drop a few points here and there in the league amidst that tough run. We still went through a crazy run of wins. And the funny thing is, we had a tough run to the final. And we were stuck between two minds of, yo, we kind of have to rest players in an ISO game here and there, and then also still have to win.
Because y'all played Bayern, then Porto, and then
yeah, Bayern, Porto, and Barca.
Because I feel like Bayern are poor that year, no?
No. Well, they won the league. It was under Kovac, but this is the caveat that.
Oh, I remember this because this was the year that Dortmund.
Yeah, with Paco Alcázar, like they were battling for the league in December. I think they were still first.
No. They were not battling, bro. Dortmund just. Oh, fucking hell, I hate that fucking piece of shit.
Bro, believe me, I'm with you. I don't respect that organization.
That was not a battle, bro. That was Dortmund crashing. That's what that was, bro. That was not. Don't give them the respect to calling that shit a battle, bro. I remember this now, bro. Don't do that. That was
okay. All of that is true. All of that is true. But the caveat I would put for Bayern, even though Kovac deserved to get sacked, all this stuff, the caveat I would put is the way things would be packaged would be different if they actually knocked out Liverpool that season and then they'll play a Porto, then make a semi-final. So imagine from behind you win the league again, and then you make a semi-final, and who knows, maybe they could have beaten that Barca team, then make a final. So I think the packaging of it is, yeah, it's a poor team because they went out in the round of 16, but hey, you went out to the winners, to the actual winners, a team that maybe you shouldn't have been playing like quality for quality in the round of 16 itself. So it's the only caveat that I would present. But anyways.
Also, shout out to you. What is up? We are currently doing our preview for the round of 16 of the Champions League. So far we've already covered the pretty much all of the lesser games in the Club Brugge, Aston Villa game, the Barca Benfica game, the Dortmund Lille game, and we just did the Leverkusen Bayern game. So just let us know what are your predictions so far, because I believe you're a Barcelona fan. So like I said earlier, you guys better beat Benfica on everything. But yeah, continue, Chris.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I was just giving reference to 18-19 that we had a pretty difficult run while being expected to win every game in the Premier League. And I'm saying that I'm so glad that's not the situation right now where we can afford, like, I don't want this to happen, but we can afford to play and load manage and rest players in between league games to fully focus on the Champions League. So I'm glad that I guess we're playing away first, and then we go back to Anfield. And I'm glad that the focus of the team before anything is this PSG game. It's not Southampton, that's a must win. No, it's this PSG game. And then after that, it's PSG at home. Southampton is kind of an afterthought. Respectfully, it's kind of an afterthought.
No.
So
We're not gonna be respectful, but they suck. Don't. There's nothing. There's nothing to respect, bro. What are we respecting about 9 points, bro?
not true. True. That is pretty pathetic. But yeah, PSG is the focus, and pretty. It's going to be an electric tie, I think, between these two teams. Battle of based off of this season, upper echelon attackers like Dembele, Barcola have been cooking so far this season. Like Dembele, yo, I
Are you are
think
you, are
we
you, are you worried for your fullbacks?
mm,
Because, bro,
I'm
if
one.
because I'm gonna say if Jeremy Doku's out here completing 12 dribbles, bro, it might be looking tough. That's what I'm gonna say. Bro.
Yeah, but
Jeremy Doku, come on, bro.
yeah, but it's Doku. Like, okay, how do I wanna say this? That's like respectful, but
No. Please be
true to reality. That
be.
like Doku, like to me, this is just me. Doku completing 10 dribbles isn't the same thing as Hazard completing 10 dribbles. Just as an example, right? Because even though I've seen Hazard complete like a lot of dribbles, but it didn't really lead to anything, because he's an upper echelon player, there's danger, there's imminent danger when you allow him to bypass players and give him and he creates the space that leads to something, right? Doku, bro, this dude could complete 20 dribbles and it could lead to nothingness. Like
Because
he can be on the ball around the box
that's
and
kind of
bro,
my
I'm
point.
not phased.
Because that's kind of my point. Now instead of it being, you know, Laramie Loku, it's gonna be Barcola going down that way. It's gonna be
But
them.
that's the thing, though. That no, I hear that point. But what I'm saying, as conversely, I think because because it's Doku doing all of that, we can accept that by design. But because it's Barcola as a team, we're gonna be like, no. This guy's an even bigger threat. We cannot let that happen. The way Trent got ripped from a protect the box, protect your zone perspective, we cannot let that happen.
Also, how do you see Robertson dealing with the
No,
Dembele?
that's raps, bro.
With,
No, that's
with,
like, bro. Robinson's cooked, and if he gives me two good games, amazing. But I expect
no,
nothing from him.
Chris, I was gonna you gotta be finished. It's not just the winger because PSG they be spamming that what's the name of this bomb, that Hakimi winger down
Mm.
the cutting inside like 2v1 combo. So it's not just like so Robertson. Wait, who usually defends who usually helps a lot ups on the left? Is it McAllister?
Yeah, McAllister and Luis Diaz.
All right, so McAllister, Luis Diaz, Robertson, bro, like y'all better be up for that game defensively, bro. That's what I'm gonna say. But
Yeah, but like Robertson is at the point where he's a hindrance to the team, and he's cooked. Respectfully, like if he gives me two good games, amazing. But I don't expect it just because he's been pretty rubbish for the most part of this season. I think since the turn of the year, he's been a little better, but he's overall been rubbish, absolutely rubbish. So I expect nothing. So I expect Dembulance, and if Kvara starts on the right, and the interchange between them and Hakimi joining in, I expect him to get cooked. I wouldn't be shocked, But if he holds his own, amazing. But I still need you to leave my club as soon as possible. As soon as possible.
no,
I expect that.
diabolical.
Yeah, and I guess from Liverpool's asset perspectives, bro, I remember we had this conversation a couple of months ago on stream in terms of uh, Liverpool playing through Salah, and I guess you were playing devil's advocate of maybe uh, not playing through him is by design because maybe that the team ceiling is higher when we don't. It definitely isn't. Like I've always believed this. It's definitely not. The more touches Salah gets, the more times the ball actually goes through him, and the game plan is centered around, okay, how can this guy be our primary
Oh
decision
no, no,
maker?
oh no, I know,
The higher,
I agree with you. Pretty much, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. When it comes to your attackers, outside of Gakpo, bro, I'm not rating the other three, bro.
mm.
With all due respect, bro. But I don't know. Maybe am I being too harsh?
No, no, you're not. No, no, you're not, bro.
Because
You're not. Like we're literally we're
if
carrying these guys.
because if having to play through one man is the best option, then that means everyone else is doing something wrong, bro. Like,
No, that's just the reality that we have. It's the reality that we're in, you know. So we need to ensure this dude, we play through him. We live and die by him and live with the results. If we end up losing, it is what it is. But live and die by him. So if we can do all of that, and if the midfield combination, like I've loved the way that they've executed different game plans against different teams, whether it's against City, Madrid, City home and away, Madrid, I guess Chelsea as well earlier on in the season, Leverkusen, Leipzig as well, like just a whole bunch of other games. I've liked the different game plans that and the way they've adapted to what they needed to do between Gravenberch, Stroboslai, and McAllister. Like they've in different ways all been really effective in helping the team, like individually, collectively, and they've switched it up in terms of who's been the more important player for this ISO game. I need these dudes on the money. I need these guys to be fully focused and have the games of their lives because they're going to be playing. I do think PSG can have the weakness of defensive transitions, defending that like Vitinha, João Neves. I think they can get cooked in terms of like transitional play when they lose the ball and stuff. But in terms of winning the ball from them, that's going to be tough because the ball sticks with these guys and they have a game plan and they have tactics where all they do is hold on to the ball and combination play, you know.
like I remember I
So
saw an interview with Luis Enrique, and he basically said, "Yo, if my players don't follow my game plan, like they're getting clapped. Like I don't care." So yeah, he's definitely one of those very strict positional managers where everything that we do has to be a sequence that we can replicate as many times as possible.
mm,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I feel like this form that PSG is on, probably say is going to be the best version of a team that you guys have played this season. Would you say that's fair to say?
let me think. Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Because when y'all
I think
smacked Madrid, like we were calling Ancelotti a dementia-filled dude
so.
that needs donepezil fast. And if you don't know what that drug does, look it up.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I mean, y'all smoked City. Arsenal game was kind of even. I haven't watched the Arsenal game back in a minute, so I don't really remember it that well. But I think it was like y'all. Was it y'all that dominated the first half and they kind of came back into it in the second half or whatever? I don't remember.
No, I think. Yeah, I think we started better in like the first 5 minutes, but for the majority of the first half, they led. So I think there's 2-1 going into the second leg. I think both goals were no, one goal was from a set piece, free kick. I think they scored a header, and then the second goal, either the first or second goal, Saka, moments of brilliance on Robertson again, who was cooning, scored an amazing goal, and then I think we scored from a set piece. But they had imposed themselves better in that first half, and then because we were chasing the lead, we imposed ourselves better in the second half. And then people are gonna say, oh, Gabriel went out and someone else went out injured, but they say all of that Arsenal are missing players, but Liverpool's missing Allison. Like Allison is humongous. But anyways, beside the point, Liverpool showed themselves better in that second half, and we equalized. And bro, that move, people don't speak about it enough in terms of the IQ at play. Like I like seeing when an attacker is in an offside position and they like make that shadow run to make it seem like they're gonna get the ball without impeding the opposition player, and then they stop midway. And that's what Salah did. He was in an offside position, and then he made it seem like he was gonna get the ball, but he stopped midway, and you actually audibly see him directing Darwin. Darwin, get that ball. And then he like makes a diagonal run, and then he frees himself, and then Darwin crosses the ball, and then clinical finish from there. It's just a moment that I remember that I appreciate. But that just highlights the desire that we showed in that second half. So yeah, we definitely imposed ourselves in that second half. But yeah.
So yeah, so I don't have. I think this is a very 50-50 tie. So, and it's funny because I think for both clubs is going to be by far the hardest game they've played so far. So I just don't know what. I don't know what either club is. I don't really know what either club's going to really be thinking.
I think from a Liverpool perspective, I think we'll be happy with the draw. Going to their stadium and not losing, and then knowing how Anfield nights are during UCL, bro, bro, a draw I'm good with. Like a win is house money, but I don't really like. I'll respect PSG enough to be like, okay, like I think they'll show a good effort on their part to make it as difficult as possible, and then we probably draw like 1-1 or 2-2 or something. But that result going to Anfield in the second leg, nah, bro, a great result for me personally.
All right, and then now for the last big boy tie for the round of 16. This is a tie that to give some context to, because I don't know if you remember this TikTok. Atletico, I need you to stand up.
No, I don't use TikTok like that. So I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, no, I don't use TikTok either, but it was one of those like clips that I just see a lot. It's like a girl, like she's like in a car, and she was like, I guess she was like complaining about like women who stay in bad relationships, and she was like, stand up. Stand up. So Atletico, Real Madrid, UCL tie. Stand up. Stand up. Because played these dudes 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. 4 years in a row. Lost every single is the fifth the charm, because bro, they got to do something at some point, bro. Like I know we talk about I know we talk about your bum ass club when it comes to Madrid and or what's it called? Who are some other clubs that got spanked by Madrid in the knockout round? PSG, Atletico are up there in terms of Madrid's bitches in this competition specifically. So, like I said, Atletico, one more time, stand up.
No, I hear it. The tide has got to turn at some point. You cannot repeatedly lose to the same team over and over and over again. Never mind a city rival. And you're actually a good team. It's not like you're Everton. It's not like you're Fulham playing Chelsea or whoever's your regional actual rival. Is it West Ham? I don't know. But you're Atletico in 2025. Like you're a threat. At some point, you have to show something.
It's just crazy because like it's literally just this competition. Like even those years that I've listed, they've done something against everywhere else. Like I distinctly remember in 2015, these dudes smoked them 4-1 in the league. So yeah, what are we saying? Jude Bellingham is going to be out for the first leg due to the suspension.
Oof, that's a big miss.
Obviously, we already know about their other outstanding injuries. Atletico don't really have any injuries that are too important, I guess, except for Koke. But I mean, he's not really been. At least I don't think he's been one of their main midfielders this year. Only played 1,400 minutes, which would be at what, like 16, 15 matches. So Yeah, what are we saying? What the hell are we saying? Atletico Real Madrid has been Atletico have been one of the only teams that can consistently, give Madrid trouble. In they've played each other like countless times, right? Like, and it's been a very even affair. Like I don't
Mm,
know if you see, like I'm just kind of scrolling through their recent matches
yeah.
in this decade. So since 2020, Madrid's beaten them. Let's see if we look here: one, two, four, five, 6 times. And Atletico have also gotten their own get back. They've beaten them. What's it called? How many times have they beaten them? I don't know. Well, I've only beaten them like twice, so not as much as I thought. But the funny thing is, both of their wins have come like
Yeah,
last,
I think the funny thing is they've beaten them twice, but a lot of their draws have felt like wins, to be honest.
especially the last one because
Mm.
Madrid was on their ass. But yeah, but so I guess really this whole like rivalry is kind of more so heated up since the last season because I remember that's when they were the only team to beat them in the Bernabeu like all year in any competition. So they have shown they have the capacity to do something against these dudes. So
Mm. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's difficult to predict this. I think it's easy to say that, this is Real Madrid, this is their competition. And based off of evidence, they're likely gonna see this tie out. But I do think Atletico has a great chance. I do think a win or a draw isn't out of the question at the Bernabeu. I think it's more likely that they draw or lose than they actually win. But I can see them drawing this game and then going to the Wanda Metropolitano and like seeing out a 1-0, 2-1 type of thing, just riding off of the passion of the crowd. I can see that transpiring. But Real Madrid do deserve the benefit of the doubt. If anyone does, it's literally them. They have the best offensive firepower from a talent perspective, not from a actual performance as a in unison and as a collective, but from an ISO talent perspective, from Vinny, Bellingham, Mbappe, Rodrigo, like none of that. Like the upper echelon talent is out of this world. So I think and Carlo Ancelotti as well. Yeah, the dementia patient, and a lot of the times he's cooning against the team, but this is also his competition. Like this is his competition where he knocks out a lot of great teams, no matter the circumstance of how his team looks early on in the Champions League or how they look in the league. So yeah, Madrid are the favorites, and they're likely to go through. But this is biased perspective, but also kind of trying to be neutral. So biased perspective, I want them to go out. I want Atletico to win, and then neutral as well. That I can't see a world where Atletico comes with this game plan of stinking up the Bernabeu. They're coming to stink up this pitch, and a draw is a win. And if they win, that's house money. But a draw is a win, and then we take that result to the Wanda Metropolitano, and we close this out there.
I completely agree. I think the second one of two ways. It's either Madrid smoke these dudes at home, and the tie is just actually I guess 3 ways. Yeah, it's either Madrid just smoke these dudes at home, and the tie is just over.
Mm,
Um, the scenario that you laid out, where Athletic will go to the Bernabeu and they're able to survive with a draw, whether
mm,
it's 0-0 or 1-1 or whatever, or they do the first thing that I said, and then Madrid go to the Wanda and are able to basically grind out a result against Atletico. So basically,
mm,
if Atletico can get a neutral positive result in this first leg, it's going to become a war of attrition. So
mm,
either that or just Madrid just smoking these dudes. But I do think the most likely scenario is Atletico getting a result at the Bernabeu, but Madrid just being able to outlast them in the second leg.
Mm.
So that's probably what I would go with in terms of what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with what I want. So I want a draw in this game. Like now, let's go win is a bonus, but I don't expect that at all. But a draw, 1-1, no, whatever it costs. Draw in this game. Go home, win 1-0 or 2-1, and then we, we do our thing.
All right. So that ends it for today. So Chris, I want to thank you for coming on.
No
Um,
problem.
always fun talking ball.
For
Uh,
sure.
and then yeah, so I think what I like about having these Champions League ties back to back is it's kind of make scheduling this kind of easy. Yeah. So next Friday we're just gonna go over what happened in the first leg, and depending on how close these ties are, preview what's gonna happen in the second leg, and then 2 weeks from now we will go over the round 16 as a whole, and then update those power rankings, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, thank you
Wait,
for
just before you leave, just before you leave, just before you leave.
yes up.
So I give a maybe 20-second to a minute soliloquy. Mohamed Salah, brother, this dude is playing out of his mind, bro. Like this is one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen from a non Cristiano and Messi season, but even including some of theirs. But bro, what this dude is doing is absolutely incredible. And I'm like, man, on one side, I'm like, glad he's finally getting his credit. But on the other side, I'm like, man, I'm glad we're maximizing him. I know I love that word. Glad we're maximizing him a whole lot more. And I just want to see him break every record that he can. The Haaland record is probably out there for a lot of different variables in terms of like scoring the most goals ever. But, like the assist record is right there. The overall contribution record is right there. And many more in terms of ISO goals you've contributed to, ISO games. I mean, you've contributed to relative to everyone else who's ever played in this league. ISO games you scored to relative to everyone else that you've played in this league. Everyone else that's played in this league, and every record that you can think of. Like, man, this dude is just on a Ballon d'Or tear, and it's amazing to see as an African and as a Liverpool fan. There's a Liverpool player doing this, and it's my guy, a guy that I've supported through the storms, the ups and downs, where people were cooning, people were saying the dumbest things that you could imagine. I'm just so happy for him, man.
So wait, do you think that what he's doing now, he could have done it sooner?
Yes, 100%.
And
Particularly,
like
yeah, yeah.
and replicated it for a sustained like 2-3 seasons.
I think what he's doing now could have been so I think he could have had a lot more seasons that are closer to this, and I think he could have had 2 or 3 of these in his career. So I think from a peak perspective, he could have had this for like 2 or 3 years, and from a prime perspective, so the length of his prime, the production could have been higher as an overall, as an average. I'd put it that way.
I'm actually curious. So what years in particular do you think he missed out on doing this?
So can kind of look at it in 2 different ways. So I'll start off from 21, 22. I think from 21, 22, and the year after when this guy Norbert Klopp, when this guy started making him do wingback shifts and were gearing every chance under the sun to Darwin Nunes and TAA spamming crosses more than we've ever seen in this team under the Norbert Klopp administration, and it's like we were no longer gearing chances towards him in the manner that we not only gearing chances towards him, but like him, Salah, being at the center to the same scale that he was in 21, 22. So I would say from that period, what he's doing right now could have been seen a whole lot earlier. But even before then, maybe not necessarily what he's doing now from an IQ, because I think he understands the game better than he did when he first got into this league. Even though when he got into this league, he was cooking. I think from an IQ perspective, it's even higher. Because I think I've said this in the group. I think he's at 2 different types of peaks. I think he's at a physical peak and he's had an IQ peak. I think he's at his IQ peak right now. But the physical peak, that was early when he could actually, like, in terms of being a triple threat, like create on his own, create for others, and be at the center of being created for from a physical perspective. So what he could endure from the beginning of the season to the end because he was younger. I think he could have done something similar to this. He did it in 17, 18, but 18, 19 is specific. I think he could have done that. But maybe for the benefit of the team, Mane being another focal point slash poacher at moments, and the approach of the, because if you look at the way our wingbacks used to play in 17, 18 versus 18, 19 is different. Like they became more focal points in the build up, and they started spamming crosses a whole lot more, and they started becoming a bigger focus. And yeah, so I do think from a he could have done something similar to this in terms of like throughout the prime, but from a peak perspective, he would have three of these. So this season, first season, and I think 21, 22 would have been the seasons where he's doing what he's doing right now. But 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, and last season, the season before, I don't think it would be this, so to speak, but it would be a whole lot closer than he was given, I would say.
All right. I was just curious. You honestly, that's it's probably actually going to be a good topic for another day. Like just kind of looking at players like peak seasons from a production standpoint.
Mm.
Really like putting their production into context. Um, from like in terms of like what their team needed them to do. What they had shown in other seasons. Whether it's something that they were able to replicate. And if not, like why that is. So yeah,
Mm.
that's definitely that'll definitely be something to keep your eyes on. And honestly, I'll probably be working on a solo video because I don't know if you um know about kind of the series I do.
I think I watched the KDB one. Good video.
Yeah, I have been meaning to do another one because I honestly I've just kind of been a bit busy and then I just haven't really been thinking of players to because I need to start writing down like actual stints to look at. And as our resident Salah expert, do you think he? Because I've been curious. So, and I know I was supposed to end this like a couple minutes ago, but fuck it, I have time. Do you? I've always wondered why do you think this is a bit of a twofold question. One, why do you think it didn't work out for him at Chelsea? Even just beyond like they didn't give him enough time thing.
Mm.
Like when you look at that Chelsea team that Mourinho had, like where do you think his role could have fit into that team if Mourinho prioritized him a little bit more? And then do you think when he went to even before he was at Roma, because I know he was a Fiorentina before that, do you think there was already glimpses of the Salah we see, maybe not now as in this season, but like Liverpool Salah? Do you think it was already there? And like, do you think he had to develop that, or do you think it was already there, but we just didn't see it? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll answer the second thing first because I think it's a whole lot easier. Yes, I do think that was already there because I watched him at Fiorentina. I watched him at Basel, particularly the Champions League, but I watched him before Chelsea signed him. I remember I actually genuinely wanted him. I remember we were looking at Kona Playanka, and I was like, yo, we need Salah. This guy is the Egyptian Messi. We need him. And then for him to go to Chelsea, I was like so disappointed. And then I see him at Chelsea, and then I worked out how it worked out, and now that I'll address that in the first question you asked. But as soon as he went to Fiorentina, because he went in January, bro, they were on the top four tier. I think they finished fifth or sixth. They knocked out Roma in the Europa League. I think they made the semifinals of the Europa League, bro. He was central to everything. It was off rip from the jump. He was cooking. So I think it's innate. I think it genuinely was in him. Like the desire, the ability, the tenacity, the quality, technical, everything. I think it was there. So I do think like that ability, it was there over it definitely was there, and he was building on it just yearly, annually. But to answer your first question, if I'm being very honest and being very fair, I think uh it was fair game from a Mourinho and Chelsea perspective for Salah not to work out because of this reason. I think you guys were too good, and the ambition to win right now was too great to sacrifice all of that to hope that a Salah builds his way up by playing consistently. Because you guys already had established players at the time. You had the Williams, the Oscars, the Andre Schurrles, never mind the Hazard. You already had a lot of these options and even Mata at the time. You already had a lot of these options that were jumping from position to position and occupying those offensive wing midfield sort of zones. And it's like you had a Salah who you brought in as a talent, and yeah, he did help here and there, but he was for the most part a bit part to a nothing player to in terms of what led you to success. You had that talent there, but it was worthwhile not sacrificing the season in order to get the most out of him and KDB and Lukaku, for
Funny,
example.
the reason why I always bring that up is because, like, I guess what hurts from like a Chelsea fan perspective is that, I mean, like like Willian and Pedro and Quadrado, who, funny enough, I'm pretty sure Chelsea took from Fiorentina when they gave him Salah.
Yeah.
So it's like, they didn't really show, like, even, okay, like, obviously, like, it would be unfair of them to expect it to be what Salah is, like, at his peak or whatever. But even at, like, their peak, they were never, like, that infallible
Yeah.
that like, oh, like, I definitely, like, I get why, like, like, Salah never played or whatever. So, like, for example, Kevin De Bruyne not being able to dislodge Juan Mata, like, even though obviously Mourinho ended up selling Juan Mata in that January window, like, even at that time, it, like, makes sense as to, like, why that was the case. So I guess that's usually where, like, that disappointment always comes in, because I remember, like, Schürrle being there, I remember Willian being there, and, like, they were never, like, that much better that I thought it was like that was like that noticeable. But hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. I was just curious as to see what you thought in that from that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. Like the way I looked at it, I never looked at them as like they're better in isolation. But I did think for the makeup of the team and the experience that they already had, for the moving train that was already moving, Salah, there's a whole lot more work to do for Chelsea to get Salah on that program versus these guys, they're already on it. They're already on it. That I think that's the difference the distinction that I would make at that time. That you guys would have to, even though maybe you could have ridden the storm, but you would have to sacrifice the game plan of win at all costs to account for a Salah to like get with the program, like actually give this guy sustainable minutes, which it's a double-edged sword. It could still work out either way, but it's still a double-edged sword. And Mourinho, he's all about get it done. It's all about we're winning, you know.
All right. Any other soliloquies you need to go on before I end the show and end the stream?
Yeah, nah. Think more tapped out. Think I'm good.
All right. All right. Again, yeah. Thank you for coming on, y'all. So you already know the move for next week. Hopefully, NK and Shimmer will be here next week.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm gonna end it now. But again, appreciate you for coming on. Always good talking.
No problem, brother. Reach out, man.
Yes, sir.